So what's happening in this third requirement is we're starting to change some things, and we're just trying to look ahead and see what's going to happen to profit if we make certain changes to our pricing and revenue structure. So the first thing they say is let's go ahead and recalculate or recompute the break-even point if under each of the three following scenarios. So for the first scenario, they say we drop the price by 8%, and that's so that we can maintain our current market share because our customers are sensitive to the price. They want a lower price. So I'm going to take that same formula, total sales equals all my costs, variable and fixed, and I'm going to say, okay, my sales price before was $50. Now it's going to be 92% of that, 8% less. So my sales price drops to 46. So my formula says 46x, and it says nothing about changing the cost structure yet. So equals 30x plus the same $500,000 in fixed costs. So if I get the x on the one side, that means I have 16x equals the $500,000. That means my break even is going to be 31,250 units under the first alternative. The second one says, okay, what if the variable expenses per unit go up by 8% as a result of using more expensive stuff, right? Okay, so it doesn't say anything about changing the revenue. So I'm going to go back to the original information. It doesn't say to also drop the price by 8%. So we're going to assume it's the $50 per. So I'm just going to use this same formula here for the second part, except I got to make a couple of changes. And that first change is that my revenue goes back up to 50. But now they're saying my variable expenses go up by 8%. That means they're 108% of $30. So they go up to 32.40. So instead of 30, it's 32.40, and my $500,000 fixed cost stays the same. So it's no longer 16x. It's whatever that is. I can probably do it in my head, but 1760x. And then when you subtract the 32.40 from the 50, and that gives us 28,409. We'd round that up to 28,410 unit. And the last alternative says, okay, we're not going to mess with revenue, we're not going to mess with variable costs. Our fixed costs are actually going to go up because we're going to advertise a little bit more, and our market share is going to remain constant. You might think, why would I want to do that? Well, the alternative is my market share decreases if I don't spend that advertising expense. So they would just want to see what's going to happen if my fixed costs go up by 8%. So the change here is it's going to go from 500,000 to 108% of that amount, which is 540,000. So I got to go back and remember, we're assuming now that my revenue didn't change, still 50, and my variable costs went back to being what they were before any price increase. So I got to change that in my formula here. It's 30x, 50, and then we're going to change the fixed cost to be 540. So it's going to be 20x equals 540. And so I just got to make a couple of changes in this formula. You take 540,000, you divide by $20 per unit as the contribution margin. Your break even, if that happens to your fixed cost, is going to be 27,000 units. So that's how we can mess with varying variables, and you could build formulas in here that did it automatically rather than doing what I did, which would be more appropriate if you're doing this in a business environment, because you can quickly plug and play and change variables and know exactly what's going to happen on the fly.